In today's video, we're going to be answering the question, what is an arraignment in a DC criminal court case? Now, when most potential clients contact us, it's usually because they've recently been arrested and have gone through a really difficult situation, getting booked, being processed, fingerprinted. It's a pretty embarrassing and humiliating process that they've had to go through. So when most people contact us, they're usually pretty scared or nervous or anxious about what to expect at their first court date. My name is Joseph Scrofano. I'm the founder and managing partner of Scrofano Law PC, where we fight relentlessly on behalf of anyone in trouble who cares about their future. So when somebody gets arrested, one of two things are going to happen. One, they're either going to be released from the station on something called citation release. They're going to be given a piece of paper like this, which is a citation to appear in court. It's going to have the date and time of their first court date. Or two, if they're arrested for something more serious like a felony, or they have multiple cases, or are on probation in another case or something like that, then they'll usually be held overnight. They'll spend the night at the DC Central Cell Block, and they'll see a judge for either their arraignment or presentment that next day. So this video is geared specifically for people who are arrested, gone through the process where they've been booked at the station, and then released with a future court date. So an arraignment is just basically your first court hearing. It's a formal reading of the charges against you. So what will typically happen is the prosecutor will make a determination after they review your arrest paperwork, maybe the officer's body-worn camera, and if they decide to charge you with a crime, they will file something called an information. It's a piece of paper like this. It will have the name, the address, date of birth, arrest number, some other identifying information, as well as the charges, like this, for example, driving under the influence, operating while impaired. So the government will file charges, the case will get called, the courtroom clerk will read the case and will read the charges. You will either be represented by an attorney if you hire one before you show up, or if you can't afford to hire an attorney, you may show up to court on your arraignment date and the court will give you a court-appointed lawyer at that time. Another thing that's going to happen is the government is going to provide to your lawyer something called initial discovery. Initial discovery is basically a stack of paperwork that the police officer submitted in the case. Sometimes they might have the body-worn camera footage available that day, but that's usually not going to come till later. But your lawyer will get the initial police paperwork, and the judge is going to do something called impose release conditions. DC does not have a cash bail system, so there's no such thing as posting a bond or paying a certain amount of money to be on bail. The way DC does it is it's a condition-based system where most people, especially people charged with misdemeanors, are going to be released, but with conditions that carry the force of a court order. So almost everyone who goes to court for their arraignment is going to be ordered to verify their address with pretrial services. And so a good rule of thumb is if you're going for your arraignment, to bring with you a piece of mail that's been postmarked within the last 30 days. And if you do that, then when the judge orders you to verify your address, you can just go down to pretrial services and get that done that day instead of having to come back to court to do it a different day. A lot of times the judge may order someone to take a drug test. So if you have a court date coming up, it's not a good idea to be using illegal drugs. If you're arrested for a DUI case, for example, almost all DUI cases, the judge at a minimum is going to order that the person do not drive without a valid permit and the person do not drive after the consumption of drugs or alcohol. That means that if you violate those conditions, not only can you be arrested and locked up and held while you wait for your case to be resolved, but you can also be charged with a separate case for contempt of court, which is a whole nother crime that you could be charged for as well. The last thing that usually is going to happen at an arraignment is the parties are going to pick a status hearing, which is going to be the next court date, usually anywhere from like 3 to 10 weeks out, depending on what kind of case it is or what the court, the prosecutor, and the defense lawyer's schedule usually looks like. So what you can expect at an arraignment, you're not going to be going to trial. It's not, the officer does not have to show up for the arraignment. The officer's not going to be there for the arraignment. There's really almost no scenario where someone shows up to their arraignment and then ends up going to jail. So there's no need to be worried that when I go to my first court date, am I going to be put in jail unless you have a warrant or something out there. Just going to the arraignment is, like I said, going to be a formal reading of the charges. Your defense lawyer is going to plead not guilty on your behalf. The judge is going to impose release conditions. and the parties are going to choose a new court date. So I hope you found this information helpful. If you're worried about a case coming up for your arraignment, I hope this information gives you a little bit of peace of mind. In the meantime, if you do have a case coming up, I highly recommend you contact us. Click the link in the video. You can get more information about what to expect in your case. And if you give us a call or you contact us on the web, we can schedule you for a free case evaluation where we can walk you through exactly what to expect in your court case and what immediate steps you should be taking